Okay, so I'm actually the founder of Tree of Life. Okay, so Tree of Life is a company that I set up recently, like last year. And what it does is that it has encompassed one of the bigger pillar, which is NEFU. So I'm going to go through later, like what is it all about NEFU that is very foreign to any all of you right now. But then throughout the whole session, we will understand a bit more. So for today's session, right, other than before I start, I just want you guys to know that for today's session, right, is sharing about this product. But at the same time, at the end of the session, right, I will be doing for today's session as a special, right, I will be giving out two life path numerology reading. And these two life path numerology reading, right, is each one is worth 200 ringgit. And the reason why is that for you guys to understand a bit more, so life path numerology is to discover your inner strength, right? And what you can build on, and then the path that you probably can consider moving forward, right? Especially when we want to look for what we can do as a passion. So it's actually a very good skill that I acquired during my last 10 years in these entrepreneurships. And I would like to share this gift with the people that are coming here today. So for you guys to know that actually I'm a life path numerologist, right, for the last 10 years. So this is why I would probably introduce a little bit more about it, right? And if you need any inquiry about it, you can always talk to me at the end. Okay. So in order to make sure that I get your contacts, right? So you just leave the number so that I can connect with you on this reading if you are selected one. Okay. So for today's session, right, we're going to learn three secrets, right, towards this wellness. Okay. The secret number one is that what is it that it takes, right, in our equation of being healthy and well. What is it that it takes in our health? Okay, this is the secret number one that we're going to discover. So the next page. So for secret number two, I'm going to dive a little bit more into the topic of negative ion, which is the nature. Okay, so I'm going to dive a little bit into this, and then I want to share with you what it means by this particular vitamins in the air. Okay, and how it can help you in terms of your wellness. And for the secret number three, is I'm going to go into the specific solution path, right, which is NEFU, and how we discovered it to be our true path to being healthy. Okay, so next, so for today's session, right, if you are coming here and you are one of this category, I would say that you are in the right forum. Firstly, if you would like to enable for your lifestyle alternate therapy, not relying on the medications, then you are at the right place. If you are coming here because you want to know is there any other methods to drive and to build it into your current busy lifestyle like you and me, right, whereby we run employment or business on our side, and therefore we probably do not have so much of allocated time for the known exercise and dieting, right? So the other one is you are valuing health a lot, right, regardless is for yourself or for your family. And the fourth one is for me to introduce to you if you're looking for a method that is very effective and very cheap, right? And it can give you the health maintenance for a long period of time and a very good return of investment. Okay, so this is for you. So next. So just a bit of a background for myself. Okay, so I'm an engineer by profession. So I studied in the USM. So my first job was actually as a failure analyst engineer. So I was working for the corporate world, which is Intel, everybody's computer, right? So I've been working there for 16 years. So I started off my career as from my engineering course, I went into failure analysis. So I'm very sensitive to failures, which is anything broken, right? And why is it broken? Then after that, later I move on to do materials development. I'm a project lead and also supply management. So throughout my years of 16 years, right, I carry myself kind of quite a bit of a technical background, right? Because I do own patents and also papers, right? Well, I was in this semiconductor industry. Then after that, fast forward another, after 16 years, right? One day my boy was identified to be having this leukemia. So that's why I actually moved to health industry. So area general manager for NEFO International for the last 10 years, right? I became an AGM, the highest rank within 6 months of into this health industry. And for the total 10 years, right, I actually have achieved a total up to 7 times of NEFU and all awards. Okay. And I'm leading 8 international teams worldwide, right? Then we contribute about, for the last 10 years, about 32 millions in sales, right, for the 10 years. So I have, in this whole 10 years, right, helped more than 2,300 families, right, in within my organization, right, to regain better health, right? And it starts from cancer to autoimmune and also healthy people. So I'm also what I mentioned just now. I'm actually a life path numerologist. I love numbers so much that I live in and out from numbers. So for the last 10 years, I've been helping people to find their passions and their life directions. Okay. So allow me also to tell you a bit more about my story. Okay, so basically I have 3 kids, and back in 2015, then my boy was, which is the youngest, right, at the age of 5, he was diagnosed by doctor one day to have a leukemia. So for those who do not know, leukemia is a stage 4 cancer, right, and it's blood cancer. And during that time when we heard it, right, me and my husband, right, we were never prepared at all because in our directory, right, the word cancer doesn't appear because it was not part of the family genetics. Uh, but then we do usually see this, right, when we watch the Korean movies, right? So leukemia seems to be a word that rings a bell there. Okay? So my boy had to go through, because it's acute leukemia, meaning to say that it can turn very bad within a very short period. So because it's acute, therefore, we don't have a lot of time to make a decision and to seek for any solution path out there. And within 24 hours, we decided that to let my boy uh, go through this chemotherapy, and the chemotherapy would take about 3 years. So during that 3 years, right, we learned a lot in the hospital. I was in and out of the hospital with my boy. We spent about 8 months in the hospital. And during that time, right, we actually learned about health, right, the hard way, whereby I would say, because doctor, every time when my boy falls sick, right, because of chemotherapy, which haywires his body and fragile body, and also haywires his immune system. Sometimes to the extent that after chemo, we have to stay about 2 to 3 weeks in the hospital because of his condition, and his blood system was always not able to be produced. But the struggle was not there. The struggle was because that every time when he falls sick, doctor always tell me the same thing. I'm so sorry to tell you that I do not have any medication for you. So that's when I realized that we were in the era whereby we always thought that medications will be available whenever we fall sick. But with my boy's condition, right, actually it's not true. So that's what we learned about our body self-healing during that whole period of 8 months in the hospital. And we thought that things were good and he is able to go back to school when he finished his intensive chemo, because his whole chemotherapy was 3 years, 8 months of intensive chemo. But unfortunately, one day my boy falls sick, and it was very bad that his fever that couldn't come down after 2 weeks of medications. And that fever caused his body haywire, where he cannot produce pellets. So within the period of 2 weeks, right, he basically has been transfused with 15 bags of pellet with no results. And on top of that, right, he also had this, we call it the in the antibiotics and antiviral that doesn't work at all for him. So we were actually struggling through the 2 weeks. Fever medication also caused a problem. His liver toxin went up to 160 from 40, and that causes his liver to enlarge by to 4 centimeter. So basically, what we are dealing with that is that he could easily just fail because of liver problem and not because of cancer. And during that time, my finding for all options, and doctor actually gave us the worst of the news. Doctor did ask us whether we remember that for the first day when we met him, whether when we met her, whether we remember what was the success rate. So during that time, the success rate I remember very clearly was 80%. So doctors say, very unfortunately to tell you, you are the 20%. So when I heard that, right, it's basically like a death sentence being made for my son, and we were not able to find for any solution path, but just to wait for miracles to happen. And I'm very thankful during that time, right? My aunt, who was in JB, knew about the problem and bought one set of negative ion clothing and bathing and asked the doctor's wife to bring to the hospital for us. Without any explanation, we were only given the clothing and the bathings, and we were told to put it on immediately. And surprisingly, 2 weeks of temperature that cannot come down, right? Just within wearing and sleeping on that night itself, his temperature came down. And within a week, all his blood system that was not producing produced on its own without any transfusion. And from that day onwards, right, my boy was using this product for the last 10 years. And he has never fallen sick and ended up in the hospital again. Prior to that, right, in 8 months, he has fallen sick 6 times and we were in and out of the hospital. So basically, we earned back our boy's health at the same time. His testimonial was something that we hold on to very strongly for the last 10 years. And even during COVID, right, he was not requiring any medication and all. So that is where we discover the secrets of right finding health right with going back to nature. Okay, so today I'm going to cover what is back to nature, right? Why do we need this? What is this so-called negative ions, and what is it that we call as full natural therapy? Okay, so moving on, so let's take a look at the why we actually need to look into seriously look into this health concern. So a lot of us our idea of being healthy is that as long as doctor give me some medication or prescription, I will be considered as healthy. Nothing is unhealthy. Just like my boys, only when we are faced with cancer, then when we say we are unhealthy. So, but you look at the Malaysia statistics, right? Which is the very recent one. We're looking at the diabetics, right, which is one of the biggest killer. So diabetics alone in Malaysia of 3.6 million people are being affected, which is 1 in 6 people, right? As for hypertension, right, we are having like 1 in 3 having this hypertension problem. Cholesterol, we have about 33% of Malaysians, right, which is facing this cholesterol problem. And that is not killing yet because we don't face so much of the risk at the point of being diagnosed because typically you still have medication to manage it. Like a lot of people think that's the way it should go. But we look at cancer rate, right, in Malaysia, right, in 100,000 of people are living with cancer at any one time. We're talking about being diagnosed with cancer maybe in 4 of us, right? One of us will be detected with cancer. So it's pretty very high statistics, I would say. And for my friend here in Singapore, it's 1 to 3. It's even higher in the developed country. Okay, so and they found out that the biggest cancer that we're having is the breast cancer, the colorectal, lung cancer, cervical, and the nose cancer. And it's more in Chinese compared to the Malays and Indian. Okay, but then a lot of us, when we look at this WHO data, right, we are seeing like about 7 million people are affected by air pollution. And all we know about air pollution is the idea of it causing haze and all. But have we ever thought that this air pollution is actually also affecting our vital organs, right, from WHO? So it's actually affecting lung cancer up to 36%. And for stroke, 34% of these death, right, is due to this air pollution attributed to that, and also for the heart disease. So in and all, we are actually saying that whatever we thought was just a normal food and dietary, right, may not be just the case. So why did I emphasize a lot on this core function? Right, in my past job, every time when the thing fails, I will always look at the root cause of the issue. So same here, right? Looking at the problem of human, right? we have to look at what is causing the problem and work on the root cause of the problem if we would like to treat the disease. Okay, there's a lot of people who do nothing about it. Some will go for the Western medicine. So what we are proposing to you today is some new methods that we have discovered. Okay. So what does being healthy means actually? It's actually caring for our body, mind, and our emotions together. So is it just dieting and also exercise? Most of us know number one, number two. Rest, yeah, it's given that we have to sleep, right? But are we sleeping deep sleep? Or whether is it enough sleep? Are we managing our stress? And the last one, which is a piece and parcel and a very critical part of the whole equation, is the environment. So are we taking care of our environment? Whatever that we are breathing in through our skin is actually a very big piece that is contributing to our health, and are we aware of it? Okay. So next. So going back to this, so I've covered the needs. So I'm going to go to the next one, which is next secret. It's called the negative ions. Okay, so this video here is actually a prescription that a lot of the doctors out there, regardless in which country, we are seeing here we have this in Greece, in Japan, right? They're actually prescribing already all this nature, right? Whereby the doctors no longer tell you to eat any medication. They just subscribe you maybe to go to nature and to give you some tickets to the park, right? And that therefore that would be a prescription of health, right? So that is why we are proposing to you today prescribing nature as a medicine. This is very recent video, okay? So what is this nature we're talking about? We are talking, it's actually negative ions. For people who are familiar, negative ions is where we go out and we feel so refreshed, right? So there's a few ways of getting negative ions, including what we have here. UV rays, right, from the sun is contributing negative ions. The second one is when there is a thunder, so lightning, right? When the lightning strikes right there, therefore you will see the high levels for negative ions. And the more popular ones is number three, whereby you see that happening in the waterfall area, seaside, where the water collides and then it breaks out through the Leonard effect and gives you the negative ions. And the last one is when you go to the forest and you feel very refreshed, right? So that is the negative ions. So can you find negative ions actually at home? For those who know, right? You feel the most refreshed when you after taking the shower, right? So from the shower where the water splits on the flooring and then it bounces back, that's where the negative ions give you the refreshment. Okay. So what is the effect of negative ions? So this is based on Asian Medical Journal, right? Whereby negative ions to be effective, right? It has to have certain amount. There is not every amount is sufficient. So what is it amount that we are talking about? So if you're having 1,000 to 2,000 ions per cc, it's very good for health. Okay, so that is the basic needs. But the problem is when we go to nature, like in the park, or we are in the indoor or in your room, right, it's less than 200. So basically every day you don't have enough of negative ions. And you have 5,000 to 50,000 ions per cc, that is where you strengthen your immune system, right? And if you have 100,000 to 500,000 ions per cc, that is where you do the self-healing, okay? And that will improve your health. So negative ions help us in these four conditions. Firstly, it has purified your blood. So it helps with blood circulations and helps in detoxification and nutrient absorption. So when the red blood cells and red blood cells, right, they clump together because of stress, acidic body, right, and it will be a little bit thicker blood, right? But when you use negative ions, right, it will bounce against each other. Therefore, it will give sufficient surface area for absorption of the oxygens and the detoxifications. Okay, secondly is for cell regeneration. What it means here is that by using negative ions, basically you can anti-age, okay, anti-aging, right? Age lock, right? And we're not talking about just on the external, on your facials and all, but including the organs. Because organs that are young, right, basically can work more, okay? So you want to have young organs at the same time for any wounds, right? Like the diabetics, those that are being amputated, and you have the wounds that cannot heal. You even have operation wounds. These are all under cell regenerations, including reversing your liver hardening problem. This is under cell regenerations. Okay. The third one is enhancing your immune system. That includes any autoimmune related problem. We are talking about maybe more than 150 types of autoimmune related problem. And therefore, it includes SLE, psoriasis, eczema, right, cancer, asthma. So all these are AS. All these are actually problems whereby typically there is no solution path for it except to take medication long term, right? And the reason why is actually a lot of the times is because that our immune system haywire. It will actually recognize uh, the enemy wrongly. So therefore, it will trigger and flare up every time when there's a problem, like in eczema. When you face the allergen, it will start to flare up. So that's why it can balance up your immune system. Okay, we're not talking only on the increasing, but also for the weak immune system, like my boy, right, cancer, right, the very weak immune system, it can also help. Okay. The fourth one is autonomic nervous system. Anything that your brain cannot control, including those that are your breathing system, your hormonal system, your digestive system, they're all under autonomic nervous system. So when you deal with this, basically what it means is that today, if you go to see the doctor tell you you do not know what happened, like you cannot sleep, they give you sleeping pills. If you have pain here, pain there, then give you painkillers. Basically, it's all autonomic nervous system, something that you cannot control, including depression, Parkinson, Alzheimer, okay, and all the arthritis related to it, and even the constipation, diarrhea, sweaty palms, and these are all autonomic nervous system. So basically, this cannot be done by supplement and can only be done by negative ions. So that's why it brings negative ion to the table, right, as an opportunity for a solution path in improving our health. Okay, next. So are we saying this just based on what we know, or is it based on all the literature out there? So we have many, many books for the last 1,000 years that was written on negative ions. So negative ion is not a new topic, but how we use it is a new topic that a lot of people are finding ways to get a better absorption of negative ions, right? So if you can see in the previous, this particular, you look at some of the books here, extracted, right? It says that negative ions are very good even for the menstrual problem, blood glucose, cancer, allergies, cardiovascular, sleeping problems, liver problems, frozen shoulder, and all. So there are so many effects of improvements that we have seen, and it's all backed up with data. Okay, next. So what are we talking about is actually this we call the NEFU, right? So NEFU International is what we are actually driving and proposing as a solution path, right? Whereby it encompasses the three key areas, which is the beauty, health, and also wealth, right? So when we say health is the first wealth, right? So what it means by that is that when we get healthy, right, the energy is positive, we will definitely get the wealth part. So you can see it's through wearing and sleeping. And just now, if you recall, I said how much negative ion is required, right, to do self-healing. So what we have here as a photo is actually one of the partners whereby he collected the negative ion count. And this particular photo is representing our blankets. So our blankets have about 100 over 1,000 ions per cc, which is sufficient to do self-healing. Okay. So I'm going to go through a few testimonials of cases that we have done. All these are actual cases that one of some of our clients that were successfully in the last 10 years been using NEFU, and they are not just using, they are also promoting to people around them. So the first one I introduced is Shaoling. So Shaoling is actually based in Singapore at 29 years old, right? She was detected with cancer, which is a stage 4 germ cell tumor. It's actually moved I would say it's moved from the lady's reproductive system all the way to the neck. So within a very short 5 days period, right, she was already wheelchair bounded. She couldn't lift up her hand or arm on the one side of her body, and it was very severe. So during that time, right, thankfully she saw her upline, which is the leaping AGM. proposing this idea about negative ions helping to reduce the side effects. And she approached her immediately to buy 2 full sets for herself to use, bathings and clothing all in. Okay. And she only wanted one thing, to go through the full chemotherapy, but add on to reduce the side effects that she's getting from this chemo treatments. And very thankfully, she finished her chemo much faster than what doctor expected. So within 4 months, right, all her the data that she got from her reading, cancer reading, was within the target and even lower than what doctor expected. Okay. And from then onwards, right, she built her muscles back, right? So she was able to climb mountains, right? Go for exercises, even do yoga. So imagine from a wheelchair bounded to walking stick, and then to be able to do this. And right now, from this year onwards, she's enjoying life a lot. Now her kid's about 7 years old, because it's about 8 years after. And when the kid was being diagnosed, right, the kid was only 1 year old, so she couldn't even carry her kid. So it was so sad. But then, thankfully, she made through it, and she shared her journey with cancer just with this post that she wrote on Facebook. And that post was actually captured by the public, and within 24 hours, right, it was re-forwarded and read for more than 10,000 people. So people that approached her were all strangers that were also going through the same journey as her, and she was able to help a lot of them regain back their health, right? Also, not just like her alone, but also in other more conditions. And some of them are just healthy people who saw the opportunity of using, even for the unhealthy ones, they are able to use it. So some of these photos here are some of her business partners that are using 24 hours of NAFU, and right now having even the next generation using NAFU. So this is a little bit more about Shaolin. Okay. The next one I'm going to share. So this is particular case I did in Penang, right? So his name is Fatty. So Fatty is actually having underlying diabetic, which he didn't know. So at the age of 40, right, being a chef, right, he was the first. You look at the photos. It started with just water retention, then it started with the wounds, and within 2 weeks period, right, she was pushed into the private hospital, and within 8 days, his leg was amputated. And very thankful that he made this known to the family and friends. And one of his good friend, right, who actually gave it as a gift for him to use. So gave him the bed sheets, for him to use. And I was the one who brought it to the hospital for him. And can you imagine, just 24 hours after using this bed sheet, right? That time was a gift, right? Just 24 hours. I didn't even have a chance to explain to him, but after 24 hours, I went back. The doctor actually had to reduce his medications from diabetic levels, right, of 6 point something, which dropped to 3 point something just by using NAFU alone. So 24 hours later, all his medications were half, and his blood pressure was within target. Okay, so he left the hospital within a month, which is much faster than what people usually do. And today, right, we saw him last month, right, he was able to walk already. So it's a very big improvement for him, especially for a 40 years old who's taking long-term medication, right? He will not be able to test very accurate tests, what you call it, the taste buds already. So it's a very big opportunity for him to move to do NAFU. And one of the bigger improvement that he saw was a bed sore recovery, whereby he went from so painful, he can relate the pain in him. When I saw him, right, he was in tears. But 24 hours later, right, he was smiling. So can you imagine how much NAFU has helped him within just a 24 hours period? Yeah. Next, I'm going to share. So next is actually one of my relative, right, who was having this stroke. Okay, the reason why I'm sharing stroke is because stroke is one of the bigger problem that is affecting maybe in a lifetime, maybe 1 in 6 people will be experiencing stroke. And I have also met people who have stroke 4 times. Okay, 4 times. No, people thought stroke was only one time, but it can actually affect you again and again and again. Okay, so this is actually one of my relatives that once he was diagnosed, right, and had during it was during the COVID time. Immediately, we as a family we brought full set of bathings and clothing for him to use in the hospital. Okay, within a week, he was discharged from the hospital. Within a month, right, coupled together with acupuncture, he was able to walk up on his own, right, without assistance. He was impacted on the left side of his body from the leg all the way to the hands and the limbs. Okay. On top of that, right, he was also affected by his eyesight. He was not able to drive. But today, right, his recovery was so fast that within a period of 4 months, right, he was able to chat with us. Just that the brain connections was still not there yet. But after just about 4 months, right, you can see very big improvements where he was able to even play the gamble with us during Chinese New Year. So imagine how much improvement that we saw in him. But the photo that you see on the legs here, right, is actually a same case of a lady that I met who's in KL, right? She was introduced by someone. She was impacted at the same time as my relative here, but she didn't get the improvement that what my relative actually did see. Their impact was exactly the same on the left side of the limb, but then she was just trailing in her bed and then she was sleeping in the living hall. She was not able to do a lot of things, but unlike my relative here, right, we saw a very big improvements in him. And we know that this stroke is not going to be a problem uh, I would say getting older when you have stroke, it's getting younger and younger people having stroke. I have also seen people 11 years old having stroke, right, when I was in the hospital. So it's something, a problem that we really need to be taking care about. Okay, next. Okay, so next, this one is also one of our partner. You see her, she's in this call here. She's Grace. So Grace, right, is basically one of my first customer, right, who was using NAFU very well, help her with her blood cysts, right, and then when immediately when the father actually had who is a marathon runner, he's also a principal engineer, right, from Taiwan. When he was suddenly having this leg weakening and then fell at the roadside, right? And then they found out that it was related to a heart valve of being untied because of this pollution of the bloodstream having a lot of heavy metals. So it was a decision that they made, right, to take medication at that point of time. But then with the high volume of negative ions that she prepared for the father, basically within a very short period of time, the father see very big improvements that the doctor had to reduce the medications from 25 mg all the way until 2.5 mg, and then right now she doesn't really require any medications of this high blood pressure already. So he's doing very well, always attending a lot of our classes. So that is our professional engineer, right, which is this Uncle Lee. Okay, next. So this is also one of the a case that I did. I would say she's very knowledgeable. She was supposed to be a doctor, but she gave up, and she's actually a stranger that I met in one of the show. Her name is Kazarina. So Kazarina is a retired school principal, and Kazarina, right, basically, she was having this knee pain problem, very tired, and the bigger problem she had was migraine and also thalassemia and also sinus. Okay, so her thalassemia actually was detected at the age of 18 when she was to go to Australia to study at Adelaide. And that was when she was identified to have thalassemia and had to take medications. When I met her, right, it was just a few months before her retirement, 56 years old. She was still taking the thalassemia. HGB was not enough, 9 point something with the medications. But then towards the number of years, right, it didn't improve. And sometimes she was so impacted her to be very tired along the day. So after using that food, right, basically the biggest improvements that she saw was this medications of the thalassemia, right, being reduced totally by the doctor. Okay, until today, she's been using this since year 2020. No more medication required for her. She stopped her medication just 6 months after this being using NAFU. And this photo here is actually one of her partners recently, right, which is Dr. Zalina. Okay, so Dr. Zalina, she's OB&G. She's having this cancer. And her cancer was aggressive that the doctor was not able to do anything about it. So when Kazarina informed and told and shared with the friend, Dr. Zalina. All she did was wanting her to use, and Can you imagine within 4 months period, right? Dr. Zalina was able to return to the operating theater to do operation on other people. So she's a very happy user. And last month also, she up levels to purchase more for her family to use. Okay, and the girl that she started using first was her girl and her. They love the products a lot. So thanks to Kazarina, we were able to touch more of her friends from the medical line too. Okay, next. So basically, you only saw like few of it, right? Actually, we have many, many more cases. So actually, NAFU did change our life, and also we are here to change yours too. And these are only very partial of what we have done because we didn't have a lot of time to go consolidate some of the testimonials that could help a lot of people. But this is just one portion of it, and there are more ongoing right now, right, to do a consolidation after 10 years of being in this industry. Okay. So, what is NEFU so unique about is because NEFU, right, has already been used in human experience for the last 60 years, okay, since 1938, where it was being developed, okay. So, it has three different awards that it is something that we're really very proud of, right, during the time where we were in the Teviron era. Teviron and neuron is actually the name of the cloth, just like cotton and silk is called Teviron and neuron. So we have these three awards. We call the Okochi Award, which is the highest honor for the fiber sector. So imagine today, cotton, silks, and all, they don't get any awards, right? But during that time, 1950s, we already received award just for the fiber alone. And the second award is the Onshi Invention Award. It was given by the Emperor of Japan, right? Because we have helped a lot of Japan folks recovering from the World War II. Okay, and the third one is the Chemistry Technological Award because of the high technology of producing this product. So imagine how high end it is just producing one blanket, right? It actually takes us about 6 months, which is just the triple time to produce one blanket because we need to stabilize the technology. So that's why it's receiving a lot of awards. Okay, next. So on top of just the watch, right, we also need to make sure that whatever we are doing, whatever using, is very safe. Because there are a lot of negative ion technology out there that's using the word of using the radiation type to produce using the germanium and tourmaline. So there's a lot of risk of having too high a negative ions that would impact our health. But in terms of certification, right, why we produce and we apply for these two is because we are enabling it for the US market and the Europe market. So if you look on the right, this is for the US market where it's requirement to have the OK tax, the compliance, okay, to make sure that our products, right, are being tested yearly, right, and regularly. For the US market, even tested towards the baby skin. So this is how safe it is. And the one on the left is called the REACH regulations. For people who are in the industry, the qualifications, test methods, right? They know it very well. So I have a lot of engineers, when they saw this, right, immediately they buy the product because they know how difficult and how stringent the requirement is to ensure that the product is well safe for use. Therefore, it's protecting the environment, protecting us, right? Unlike what we are using right today, just using cotton alone, right, is actually producing about 8,000 chemicals onto the clothing. So that's why clothing are actually also one of the reasons we are falling sick. So this is something that really emphasized in, which is the safety part in the certifications. Okay. So next, so why is it having so many awards? It's because on top of negative ions, right, which I shared earlier, there are also four different unique features of this product. Number one is the excellent heat insulation. So when you wear NEFU, right, basically you don't feel hot even though it's hot. You only feel your own body temperature. If you're cold, you also don't feel cold. You only feel your own body temperature. So this product is very good for four seasonal countries. So imagine today, whatever you purchase today, right, you can use it in four seasons. You go to Korea during the snowing, or you go to Europe, you still wear the same clothing. It will help and protect you, okay, from the heat. And why is it important? Is when you have regulate the blood vessels, right? You don't have too much of the thermal shock, then you will not have the risk or so much of this stroke. You know why? Because stroke happens in the early morning when the temperature changes. So that's why it's very important for us to maintain the heat insulation. So the Chinese TCMs, when they look at this feature alone, right, they are very happy to accept NAFU just for this heat insulation. We're going to find a lot of ways to ensure that we are covered right in terms of maintaining our body temperature. Okay, the second one is the moisture permeability. So our NAFU, right, when you wear the clothing, right, basically you don't feel wet even though you sweat. It doesn't mean that you don't sweat, it's just that you sweat, but then all the moisture is being wicked out on the opposite side. So you always feel dry. So you don't easily fall sick because you don't reabsorb the sweat, right, doesn't get evaporated by redrawing your temperature of your body. So that's why it's very good for kids, especially when they start to run around in the school area. After running around, then they catch cold because when you use NAFU, right, you don't. And also very good for socks. You don't have the Hong Kong feet, and then it goes for the undergarments where you don't have this ability to generate these fungus. Okay, so it's very good feature, which is the superior moisture permeability. The third one, I already talked about it, the ultra strong negative static electricity negative ion. So our product is lifetime negative ion, we'll say permanent negative ions, whereby it's only generated through the friction of two static cloth, static negative and static positive. So when they rub against each other, they generate negative ions. And then it's absorbed directly by skin, which is our biggest organ, which is 85% of our organs, right? So the last one is outstanding the flame retardancy. So when you wear NAFU, right, clothing or the cloth, basically you're protected from this fire. So recently there was a case about this. We have this we call it Putra Heights, is it, that had this explosion. If all of them were wearing NAFU, right, they have the heat insulator will not have burned them so much. And at the same time, this flame retardancy will not allow the burn to happen also because it's a flame retardant choked by the Japan fire retardant. So there's actual cases where it happened explosion and then those protected area with NAFU clothing, right, are actually the ones that get them to safety. And a lot of people think that it will not happen to me, right? But then if you think about the way our cars are being made, right, all our electronic boards, just one accident will get the car burning. If you wear cotton, right, you will catch fire. But you wear nylon, right, you have time to think. The speed of the second will allow you to run away. So that's why outstanding flame retardancy feature is so important. Okay, next. So this is actually some of the conditions or health conditions that we can help. But looking at this, right, all that you see here under the blue column, I have done all of it before. Okay, so there's case studies that I can show you what we have done. But on top of this, on this page itself, you see the plant and also the animals. These are also our customers. So we do help plants. Okay, you see the one on the top, right? At day one, right? The plants was already dead. Okay, almost two leaves still green, the other two leaves gone. But after 31 days, just wrapping with the negative ion cloth that we have, right? It actually grew back. Okay, so that's why we say negative ions is good for not just human, but also for the living items and plants and also animals. So the one at the bottom right is one of the partners, right, that of NAFU, whereby you start growing the fur after using negative ion. So even the animals with a different structure body, right, they're also seeing the gain from a negative ion. So it's for all human, all living items. We have confidence that it will be helpful for all living. Okay, next. So what is NAFU background is, okay, so for the last 60 years, NAFU is the business marketing plan, okay, so the product is manufacturer is using it for 60 years, but NAFU is 52 years. So we started off from Japan, right? We went to Taiwan, 1989. So after that, we went to US, Hong Kong, Malaysia, and Singapore. So as you see, Malaysia, we are actually going to our 20th year next year. And a lot of people still say, we still have not seen NAFU yet, even though after 20 years. So you're lucky that nobody around you are sick. Probably, I would say that. So in the last the top 100 DSA, right, in year 2020, we actually ranked 60 out of the 100 in this direct selling association in US. And out of the 100, right, there was only one apparel company, which is NAFU. So we are holding distributorship of the international, and there's one and the only one in the world producing lifetime negative ions and high levels of negative ions. Okay, next. So today, after listening to all this, right, it's a promise to you that you will see the benefit of it, right? But then today, if you don't do anything, you are just back to square one, right? I would say, learning today doesn't give you any benefit, then you go back to square one. Don't doing anything doesn't change your life, right? And probably we are we up to the next upcoming COVID that's upcoming, where we have seen a lot of news about it recently. So, but if today you make a decision, right, you want to explore, we are here to walk with you in this journey. Okay, that's our promise to you. Okay, next. So, some of you may be thinking, I don't have all those problems that you say you have. Okay, all those cancer, diabetes. I don't have anything. But what you have probably is stress. And do you know that stress is the one that can actually make us sick, right? Starting from sleeping problems, all the depression, the depression, all the attacks, and all the gut-related problem, constipation, acid reflux, all these are related to stress. And I think stress is one of the biggest killer. Okay, so stress impacts everybody, even for the kids. They are being made stressful, right, with the education system right now. And being sick itself, right, being a caregiver previously, as for my son, it's not as bad as being sick on my own. Okay, being sick on my own, I went through 2 times of depression in the last COVID, right, 2020. And one of the reasons was my mom passed away suddenly, and I really couldn't take it because I had so much time with her that suddenly I couldn't accept it. So it was a sudden death, that she fell and then she hit her head and then she was gone within 24 hours. So I actually survived thanks to NEFU. I survived through NEFU. I survived through this depression, right? And I walk out with zero medications and just to align back my thinking process, which is letting go. So I would say cancer actually can kill the person, right? But then when you look at depression, it actually can kill your whole family. So I would probably want to do a preventions, right? As mental health is one of the bigger problem where a lot of people cannot see a person is sick and accept it as is. But actually, that's one of the biggest killer, right? It's no fun, definitely having depression. Okay, next. So NEFU is basically just caring for you 24 hours a day, starting from your blankets and bed sheets to your pajamas innerwear. And we have a lot of supporters also, okay, which is which is what's good for all the specific locations like acupuncture points, because our acupuncture point is the least resistance for negative ions to come in to our body. So that's why it's made that way, emphasizes on acupuncture points. And we also have books written just to explain how it works, right, with our acupuncture points and negative ions, right? And then for the sock series, right, it's because we have to take care of our feet. That's why they say your health starts from your feet. Your feet is not well, that's the first place that you will fail, right? And the bottom of your soul is where you get connected to the second heart, okay, I would say. So that's why it's good to take care of your feet. And also we have outer wears, right? And some of the tailor-mades that will allow you to wear 24 hours a day. So the key criteria to use NEFU, very effective, is 24 hours a day, high volumes of negative ions, and then close contact. So that's the key formula, okay, to be successful. So we actually don't really need like what Jack Ma yesterday in the news, right? Jack Ma actually bought a 28,000 acres of US wild to turn it to wildlife sanctuary to take care of Mother Nature. So basically, he spent millions and billions, right, just on this forest. But we are just asking to invest in NAFU, which is also your forest that you can bring back home. 20,000 over 10 years of period. 10 years of period is a very conservative number because this is lifetime permanent negative ions. We're talking about maybe 2,000 per year, spending only about 6 ringgit per day. So it's even less than what you pay for a cup of coffee, right? So we suggest to you probably to take the actions today. Yeah. So our full set is actually 20,000, right? But as a member, right, we will encourage you to take a membership of 170. and then 70 for Sing dollar, right? And then with the membership, you can purchase the set that we will customize for you. Basically, this is just an example of how we will use it. For the male, right, it includes the beddings and the blankets and also the pajama series they wear and some of the supporter series. All you need, right, it will be more than 18 items per set, depending of the male or the female and the sizes. Okay, so that's what we will propose to people. Okay, so 18,000 is what we are asking if for you to invest. And for this month, right? Next page. For this month, for the 18,000, we are going to get NEFU to provide these promotions, right? Which is going to give you up to the key for a new member up to 3,365. So on top of the 18,000 worth of the products that you're getting to bring home, you're also going to get to bring home additional 3,365. So in other words, you're getting about 21,000 products home to use more. Okay, and then this one is available up to this month in before the closing. Okay. And if it's not enough for you, this is what we're going to top up for you for this event only. If today you decide that you really want, then you leave me a message until the closing date, which I'm going to provide later. When's the closing date? The closing date is by when Grace, can you find out for me when's the closing date? So for the event only offer, right, we are topping up another additional free service fee for you, which is you're going to get on top of the 18,000, you're going to get free life path numerology reading from me, right? And it's for 5 packs, 200 per person. So it's about 5 packs for a whole family, okay, intended for the whole family. And what does life path do to you is that we can always choose by colors to add energy to our life. Okay, like a certain energy where people don't have the financial strength, then you want to wear pink color, something like that. So we give you the energy built in into the proposal or the customization that we do for you to help you through life smoother, I would say. So it gives you the energy and ability to add on some character uh, strength, right, with the life path numerology. And if you're looking for a switching field, we can always talk to that. You can even look at how your kids are, right, different from you or same as you, or maybe if they're trying to find for a course very soon, it's something that you can really work out, right, with life path numerology. Okay. Thanks, Grace is on the 29th. So by the before the 29th, if you do this, then we were going to top up this for you for the event. Okay. And we're going to give the free tailoring fee, meaning to say whatever was designed outside the main orders, right? Ready-mades, they need tailor fees, right? So we're going to pay the tailor fee, 100 ringgit will be subsidized by me. Okay. The fourth one is a fashion consultation. So I will help you to do a fashion we call it matching for your needs, right? And that is we call it a fashion consultation. And on top of that, after the purchase of the 18,000, which includes all that I've said here, you're also getting get a lifetime 10% cashback for every item, inclusive the detergent that you use, the only replenishment for it, right? So 10% is for every item purchased outside this 18,000. Okay, so this is the event only offer and only valid for until the 29th. Okay, so whoever's interested, just let me know, drop me a message. We can always walk you through for the whole for the things that I just mentioned just now. Okay, so actually we can take some Q&A if anybody wants any Q&A. Okay, so basically that is about it. Okay, so for today, I'm going to select 2 person for the life path numerology. So, Joanne, can you please key in that into the wheel? Okay. Any questions? Maybe we can also take a photo. Any questions? No. Was it clear? If you all have any questions, right, you can either talk to your introducer or you want to talk to me also can. It's I can very well answer any questions. No questions. Thanks. I know who you are already. Okay. Thank you so much. Anything we'll take it outside. Okay. How about the others? Okay. So John, are you keying in the wheel? Thanks, Evelyn. So Evelyn's from Singapore, okay? So she's calling in from Singapore. Hobby, hey, how are you? Hey, so John, are you keying in? Okay,
Yes, in progress.
okay, in progress, So this now you just key in, then we just turn the wheel. Hi, Hobby, hi, miss you, in Penang. Okay, you're ready. You can just show us the wheel. Mhm. So, hey, is this the first time you're listening to this? I believe probably not. I know Dion.
I saw a
Hey
guy,
Dion.
what's name? Already.
Zach is Kamin's friend. Kamin's friend. Zach is Kamin's friend. He is one of the friends I met at the training, right? And he came to understand a bit more. He's a Kamin's partner.
So now I start the
Okay, you
first.
start. Can you show us? Are you gonna share the screen or what?
You can see a lot.
Okay, never mind. You just